Alright, welcome back to the next video. In this video we want to, of course, a part of the JSF functionality, we want to design something called a tiny calculator. It is found in one of the books given to you, and I want us to take a look at what is happening there and begin the design till the end of it and the functionalities and all that. This is the book, this little one that says practical JSF in Java EE 8. Alright, and if you check right from, this is the book, practical JSF in Java EE 8, web applications in Java for the enterprise. So it says working with tiny calculator here. If you click the auto design something that resembles a calculator, then he calls it tiny calculator. It is always good for anybody learning technology to actually come up with some Alright, sorry for the cut off. I had to adjust something. Okay. Now we continue. We encourage students learning any kind of technology to always check on how authors or experts in the field are actually using it. As you can see here, this is kind of annotation used by the person, even though we may not really use everything they have used. They have used Maven for their own case, and ours we have it embedded Maven. So look at the scope here. Can you see the request scope? This is because if you think session scope is too expensive for you, then you fall back to what? Request scope. So you have it very easy, such that by the time the connection is normal between the HTTP connection between the client and server, then everything is being destroyed. And look at something here. Can you see the manage bin here? And what? And the request scope. Okay. Let's see the UI, and then we try to develop the UI as it is. Okay, this is the UI. So let's quickly create this UI, right? Is it? Yeah. So here I'm going to make use of the iAcosol. Okay. I will just clone iAcosol project to create another project called Tiny Calculator. Okay. So I don't erase anything. I don't know whether you are with me. So let me magnify so you see how I'm going to do it. So this is our project here. When you right click on it and you click on right click and copy it, you can just say refactor. Okay. Alright, when you copy it takes you to this, then you give it name you wanted. I wanted tiny cal project, so I name it this way, tiny calculator project. It's warning you that if files are hidden, it will not copy it. No problem, just continue. So once it is done, you see it in the list of available projects here. So this now it is copied, even though the project is not all that. Okay, it has copied, it is done. Look at it, tiny cal project, right? Tiny calculator project. So with this now, this zooming, this magnifier is actually giving me issues. I'll just zoom the environment, the text editor instead of the project pen. So these are available things we were having. If you run this index, it's going to run as iAcasol, but we want to use it for a different project, right? Is it? So let it finish and then you run. So we'll make changes on the, I'll remove all that we have done, and then we try to come up with the design of what? The tiny calculator. I want us to understand what is happening actually. That's why I want to bring in this. I don't know whether we are understanding what we're doing or not. So we're waiting for it to finish here. I don't know why, like my system I should have restarted. It's not all that fast today. Okay, the project is okay, created, and now it's trying to run. And I think it has run. Okay, it is still running. The aim is what? To design this. First of all, this simple what? Yes, this is how it was. That was the project we had, right? Yes. But this time around, it is not this. So I will remove all this. Are we there? Yes. So I double click on index page because I want to work in it. Then I maximize, and then I increase the font size. Oh, I zoomed everything. This form, messages, I think this will be okay. Or maybe we design everything right from scratch, right? It will be better, right? So let me remove container, everything. So we are left with only body, right? So if you run it, it gives you something different, not as it is, or not as it was. I want to make use of this browser alone, so this should go off, and then so it gives us nothing. This is because we have done nothing in it. So within the body, we need to have a form, right? Isn't it? Yes. We need to have a form, and we need to decide. Look at how it is here. This is what we are trying to do. Where is it? Yes, this, right? This is what we wanted doing. Please let me bring it in here. Okay, we want to write this tiny calculator, very simple design, but I think for our own case there is a need for us to kind of, anyway, we shouldn't, let's just go by what we have here. So maybe later we beautify it the way we want it. Is it? So let me first of all introduce the div, no, not div, form. Yes, before introducing form, yes, let's introduce form. Right? And this form, we give it ID what? Tiny cal form. Okay, then we need what? A panel. I'm using what? Boot faces, right? That's why I'm using B. The panel here, let me give it ID. The tiny cal panel, and I'll give it title, the tiny calculator or panel. So with this, let me run and see what is happening. Can you see something here? Tiny calculator panel. So maybe the form should have kind of style, and maybe the background for the form should be light, one light background here. Can we see anything? No any content in, so you may not see anything. So for the body, it is already white, so let me give it something so we can understand what is happening. Can you see the body here? Yes. So for the body, sorry, before all this we need to have a container, and the container is a B, it is under both faces, right? Right, so the form, I'm sorry, this is what I should have started with. Container first, then form, and then followed by panel. Then if you need panel grid, we'll talk about panel grid in nearest future. So this here, if you say fluid and you say false, for example, then you check, that means you have given it what? Margin. Thank you, margin. So we need to have this, and for this, for you to understand what is happening, give this a kind of style. Give it a style, maybe background. The background should be as light as possible, if you like. If all these colors are not suiting you, you can go to choose color yourself. If you come look at color chooser, if you click it, it takes you here. You can check the swatches, the HSV, the HSL, the RBG, the CMYK. Okay, then you select any color you want, maybe something like this, and then if you run now, you see kind of color here, right? So then now I think we can start developing we can start designing the tiny calculator, right? So we have form already, so we now write tiny calculator, then we bring in the parameter 1, parameter 2, and all that. So now maybe H1, then under it I write tiny, right, calculator. I'm going to add something here using JSF Tech. Okay, then we need of course I need a div, right? So in this div, I define what I want. Is it not? I define what I want. How do I want it? Do I want to, consume everything, or I want it, in a given? Let me take only 8 and see what will happen. The what? The class. Column small. I want to pick 8. When I pick 8, okay, tiny calculator is not among the div. If maybe you want to see how it's going to look like, you pick this in. Can you see? It is 8. It is 8. But we have not done, out of 12, I have not utilized what? 4. Yes, I haven't utilized the rest. So if I want it in a good shape, what I do is right from container here, I take my div. If you can recall what we did last time, right? So I take my div like this here, this is the div, right? And I have given it 8. So 12 minus 8, 4. So I have 2 here, and I have 2 where? Down. All right. Okay. Then within the 8, then I put everything I have done here within the 8, right? I put it here, and this should be within form, maybe here. Then if you run, you see correct something, tiny calculator, even though this could be inside the, should be inside the panel. Yes, can you see tiny calculator? If you want this centralized, then you align it, align center. Can you see? I don't know whether you understand what I did, because you need to give your div, you need to position your div, so you align it how it's supposed to be. Then for this, what we have here, for this, we need a kind of space, right? You guys, I don't like this. I'll just be doing it myself. When I ask you question, you respond. That means you following. Otherwise, I'll just be doing it myself, and then I'll stop talking even. So for this now, after this container, before everything here, you can come up with another div here. Yes, div. Just create a div. If you like, you can give it a form. So you have everything, yes, in a given form. Then you bring in a spacer tag from where? Parentheses. Thank you. Then you can use BR if you like. We know BR. BR is a HTML something. Then you give it height, and for the height maybe 50 pixels. Then you check. As I'm clicking, as I'm reloading, please check. Can you see something here? So not necessarily. I can remove this. When I reload, it goes back to something. Then I can use BR. This is a plain HTML tag, right? And then, can you see? But it is not as big as that one. I can introduce another BR until when I get what I wanted, which is okay. And if anywhere you have HTML, tag library that can do the work, please use it. Because if you use any other one, there has to be some kind of conversions and all that. But for HTML, it's a direct interpretation, all right? Because that spacer has to be converted to HTML and all that. So tiny calculator using JSF tag. Now come down to where we are. So we wanted to come up with this now. Param 1, param 2, that is parameter 1, parameter 2, then add, subtract, multiply, and what? Divide, right? So here within it we have div, another div, right? Try to come up with a good UI design so you don't have problem when it comes to modifications and all that. I know that what I have at the top here is 8, so I will not exceed 8 here. Alright, so here I come up with column, and then I have what? 8 as column, right? So within I introduce row. Is it? Isn't it? Because this is a row. This is a row, so I need to have two things here: the param and what, and the label and what, the text box. So then the column, I need column here. Is it? So within column here I introduce small screen, and I give it maybe 6. All right, that is what I would do here. Even though I can take everything, I can take the 8 here, not 6. It's supposed to be 4, half of 8. Let me take 8, because you see here what we are using, we can combine both everything, the label and this in one place, because we are using bootstrap. We are using boot faces. Is it? So not necessarily. You can just say B input text, because for their own case they use parentheses. Input text, and the label of this input text is what? Param1. Param1, is it? Then okay, let me run before we continue. You know, I did not run till this time. Can you see what we're doing? Huh? This is what? Param1. That is parameter 1, right? And look at this here. This, the reason why you see this is that they have used parentheses. Let me do this kind of design. You see what I'm saying? They have used what? Parentheses. For ours is what? Boot faces. So you can introduce this same thing. You know, boot faces gives you this level, but parentheses doesn't. If you want to do same as they have done, let me introduce another column here so you see the difference. If you want to do that, you don't use this, rather you use what? P. So let me erase everything. So you have to do, if it is parentheses, you have to do P, and then you say is it input or output? Sorry, level, output level, right? Output level. For this now you say value, then you give it what? Param1. Okay, then you bring in another one here. You now see input text. Okay, then here, then you run. Can you see? Yeah. So you see ours here, it has given us everything. Actually, I like using boot faces because it simplifies things for you. For the label, you only call it. You don't need to be writing label differently from as you have seen. I hope you've seen the difference. Okay, so if you want to, maybe if you want to centralize it, maybe if you want you to start from here down there, then you need to bring in something here. This what do you call this div? You know, this is a div, right? Maybe then you introduce another div before this. Okay, you introduce another div that takes the incomplete 8. This I'm just giving you how you design. All right, introduce another div that takes 8 completely. Then within it, you introduce the first div that picks only 4 here. All right, then within it, introduce another one that picks maybe only 2. Okay, here, and that means here you introduce. This is what we call commenting, right? You just say just what? Just a space. Just a space. Okay, then you repeat this here. This div, you repeat it here. So you have, I think if you run it, it will be centralized. You have it, but this is too tiny, I don't know. Okay, this is small screen, not 8. It should be 4. Maybe you give it 1 and pick 6 here. This I'm just giving you something and this is 6, and you give it 1 here. So here should be what? 6 as well. And then you run. Even though with this also the param seems to be somehow tiny. I think this because we have consumed part of the something. Well, there are designs you could actually. This is not looking fine. Oh, okay, it's correct. Correct. So I'm going by the 8, the complete 8. So we have our design as good as possible. Mouse screen, you must not even introduce this since we are using only 1 row. Okay, so this is it. You know, this has been centralized. and this is not. So if you want to centralize it, maybe you do this as well. You say align, then center, and then you centralize it. But you see this design is not okay. Look at the something here. Okay, so it's all right. I think it's okay. The default is left, so leave it as left. Okay, tiny calculator parameter. And next is what? The next row, param 2. So this is row 1 out of this is 8, row 1. So I can copy this row and now introduce what? Param 2. That is parameter 2. Okay, when I run, you see it here. Okay, how does their calculator looks like? Then we have what? Add, subtract, multiply, and what? Divide in one single row. So look at how we're going to do this. In one row, B row, then you have one column. Then within it you have what? Command button what? This is one command button, right? I can, you know how you close tab? You can use single tag or double with close. There may be the need to use the double tag for closing and all that. So the value here is what? Add, right? The value here is what? Multiply and what? Divide. Huh? Huh? So if you like, you give them a color so they look good, right? Maybe background in style, background color. If you like, let's say blue. But if you give it blue, the writing will not be shown, right? So color, that is color, the font color should be white. That is one. And maybe you increase the font size to something. The font size to what? To what? Larger. See, this is something, you know, it is better than leaving it as it is. So you can introduce all to all of them. Right? So when I click, something happens. In fact, it's not even, it should be extra large, so you see it very, very clearly. No, it is too big, right?
Yes.
You see how you do design. You check, try to check what is appropriate, what is obtainable, and then even the tiny calculator is too big. But then let's go by the functionalities here. Huh? One. Okay, the result. Thank you. Result. Thank you so much. So that means you are following Usman. That means Usman is following. So we need result here at the bottom here. You see what I did the other time? I put in something so I see result, right? So result. So for all results, let's introduce something. Let's introduce. Okay, it could be text, but I had wanted us to use something like a screen for calculator. If you want to use that, then you need to use text area instead of just command something. I think for us to see result here, it's better we write it here. Let's carry out some modifications at the top here, like a screen of the calculator. Okay, come up here. This is calculator, right? Here, introduce another div and check the class 8. So it covers everything, right? And then you introduce B. We have what we call text area. Input text area, sorry. Can you see input text area? Right? So you don't need any level here. But if you want, you can give it level. You can say result. Alright? You see this? Result of what? Of the calculation should be shown here. Okay, sorry. I was trying to test on something. So I would like everyone to develop his own calculator. Please try to beautify it. It should be more beautiful than this. Now the computation. If I supply this number and this, and I click add, the answer should be where? Here. So how do you do that? Functionalities, and that is where the work is. Do we take simple way of doing it, or we go by the complex? If you check from the book here, this is how they have implemented theirs. Okay, it's at the top here. In fact, he has not even shown his source code. I think it's a link he has given. No source code is shown here. So let's implement. Can we? Okay, we have shown it. Tiny calculator param 1, but it's not complete. The source code is not complete. Let me reduce the height of this. The row and column. The rows, let's say we need only 3 rows, and for the columns, no, just make use of it. We're going to do ours. Let's take ours. This is virtually the technologies we are using. Somehow, there are a lot of ways to implement Java EE things. So first thing we do is to create this ad. You are going to it's your responsibility to create for all. So come up here, come to the source packages where you create as manage bin. Sorry, the source packages I have. We have these manage bins, right? We have only one. This is even for the actual project we have duplicated, right? Yes. I will delete this. We don't need it here. Alright, so you right click it and add a class and call it. You can do for all, and you can do for let me just say tiny calculator functions, right? Tiny call functions, for example. Then you finish, and then it opens as this, as a class. Remove all these things, they are not needed. End your class. Then you need to introduce a manage bin here. It's a manage bin, no? Yes, first is being managed bin. Then we pick what kind of scope? Session or request? Request scope. So we don't overwhelm our systems. Request scope. Okay? The first thing you do is to check what you want to. What do we need? We need result, yes. Right? Then we need param 1 and 2. Is it?
Yes.
And param 1 and 2, since it's a calculator, it should not be int. Oh, so the first thing here is double, because we don't know what the user is trying to calculate.
Double, sir.
Right? Yes. Double double result. Sorry, private double result. Private double result. Right? Private double what? Param 1. Okay. Param 2. I think that's what we need. Then you create the status and gators. There's another way of doing this. When we are done, maybe we'll come up. There will be a time when we are going to, look into it for the second time for professional touches. But let's go by this for you to understand what we're doing. You see, I've covered this that we need, the requirements here. Then what? Public void. I want to go by void. Add what? Add method. For example, you can say get add method, something. This should be small letter, please. This is the method. End of the what? So what do I do? If I want to add, what do I do? Let me introduce kind of another local variable here, one local variable that says addition, for example, equals to param what? 1 plus param what? Param 2. So they've been added, right? Now we want it shown. We want this addition to be shown where? In the result. Is it?
Yes.
Result equals to addition. Addition. Okay. There's I here. Right? Then I call result in my UI. So come to the UI. How do we know, how do we pick this from user? Then you introduce what? You introduce value, then what? Tiny, call the method, call the main managed bean. Tiny calculator dot what? Param1. No, param1. Is it no param1 here? Yeah, for param2. Value. Yes, tiny calculator. Param what? Param2. Then come up here. Where is result? Value. Tiny calculator is the managed bean. Then what? Result. Is it? Then we need these things validated from the what? They are all required. That is client-side validation. Then the required message, right? If it is not there, what will happen? Say please supply what? Param what? Param1. Huh? Param1. And this also Param2. For the result, you don't need to make it required. It only displays. It is not accepting anything. So when it is run, sorry, we have not added the button add, the functionality for button add. Come to here. How does the button knows about the functionality? This is the functionality for the button, right? How does it know? It's by this action, right? Then you introduce same way of adding functionality. Tiny calculator, no, add method, as you have named it there. It is there. Okay, so then you run. So without adding anything, if I click, something should happen. I did not add message. So let's add message and update it. So we pick the message from, let's say this is form, right? Let's add message here. Let's add our message here. B. Message, right? ID of the message. See message. Is it? So come here. This is button. You update it. You update this. Okay? So it gets updated whenever you click, it updates. Message ID of the message tiny. Couldn't find. Where have I put the? Okay, let it be inside the panel. If you click without adding anything, what is happening? No function. And okay, there's something here. I want to see. Okay, this, you know, since it is double, it seems to bring in by default to put in this. 0 than 0. If it is int, it will give you 0. All right. So I want to test for this for the validation here. If I remove for this and I click, it gives me for param 2, right?
Yes.
So that means it is working, right?
Yes.
So give me any number, 100 by 100, and click on add. Add, like it is not supplying the result, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what is happening from here. Let me introduce another way of doing this. Just pick the two params without the introduction of anything. Okay. You know, one thing, we need to update the result. I think that is even the problem. Come to here and update it. You know, formally it has nothing on it, right? So later something occurs. It's either you update the form or you update this. You update what? This text area. Give it an ID. And the ID is what? Result. Huh? Do what? Then come to button. Whenever the button is clicked, it update message and at the same time update what? Result. I think this would solve the problem. 2 into 2. Okay, 2 times. Can you see? It is now happening, right? Things are occurring. So let's introduce the. So either update the form completely or the object. You know, you're doing this formally. It has run without anything, and later you introduce something to it. So you have to update. Now this, you see, a realistic development doesn't mean that you won't have errors. Yeah, but you should know what you're doing. Font size. Let's say extra large, so we can see it vividly, right? For all this, let me see if I can do it generally for okay, but then it will temper with some things. I would have done it generally for all. So if I do this, if I say 8 and 9 and I add, right?
17.
But this should go off. When you click, once your result is out, this should be wiped out, right? So how do we do that? Come to the the addition here. So immediately after when addition is done, you clear what? Clear variables. What are the variables? Thank you. If you clear result, you will not see result. Is it correct? Is it correct clearing variables? Huh? Sorry, it's not. This is you set it to 0, 0, 0 since they are double. You know, they are not string, okay? Set it to 0, 0 since they are double originally. 1 and 2. Param 1 and 2. Yes. Any problem?
No, anything like variable.
Okay, variables, yeah. So you are now being saddled with the responsibility of creating the functionalities for the rest 3 buttons, division, and you have to be very careful. Really need to be careful. 15 and 3. Add. you see, you also need to, it is cleaning, but I did not update. So it's generally, let me be updating the form. So I'll be at the safer side, right? This is the form, right? Sorry, this is the form. So when I click on what? On the button, I update all this. Even though sometimes updating form completely it's somehow troublesome. And let's see what will happen. 36 and 5. Add. Can you see? If I click on add again, it will do what? It will erase it. Because there are zeros. Because I said add, there are zeros. Nothing is there. 50 and 58. Add. Right? So you do for subtract, multiplication, and division. Thank you for watching. We'll meet tomorrow for another fresh episode of our JSF class. I think this has given you kind of understanding about what is happening in the management. How do you send parameters from the UI, and how do you collect the parameters? How do you make use of them? How do you clear them when you are done with the usage and all that? Thank you for watching.